Welcome to Handi Quilter Watch and Learn. Today we're going to talk about all things pets, pet projects. I'm Kim Sandberg and this is...
I'm Kristina Whitney.
And we are just so excited to explore maybe an avenue of quilting that some of you haven't really taken a look at.
Yeah, so we kind of went off the deep end here.
We did. We totally did.
For example, we don't have an elephant in the room.
No, we've got
a big dog in the room.
So Kristina, why don't you tell us about this awesome quilt that you've made here?
Okay, so my kids love their dog.
Right.
And I've got one daughter that just graduated, going off to college. She says she's got enough quilts. You can never have enough quilts, though.
I agree.
But going to college, you do have limited space.
Absolutely.
But she absolutely loves her dog. So she took this picture of the dog.
Love it.
And I had it printed at myfabricdesigns.com. And they sent me this nice panel with the dog.
I love it.
And I just put some fleece on the back and stitched out a design from Quiltable, and she loves it. So she'll be able to take her dog with her to college.
I love this picture of Denali. I think it's so great. We have had so much fun with helping Kristina come up with ideas of what she could do with this awesome panel.
Yeah. But why are we talking about animals?
Well, when we were planning for filming this, we realized that the day that this video is premiering in, October 4th, is World Animal Day. So we thought, what a better way to celebrate all of the animals in our lives than to maybe come up with some great ways that we could do some projects for those fur babies that we all have.
And you have a fur baby that you absolutely love.
I love my fur baby.
Yes.
My sweet Daisy.
You've made some fun projects for
I
your
have.
fur
I
baby.
really have. I make lots of projects for her. She also happens to help me out every time I finish a quilt. She always very helpfully sits on it the minute I lay it down on the floor. I'm sure a lot of you have the same thing happen. So I have made her some projects I absolutely love. So let me show you the most recent one I've done. Okay. Here's a picture of her in her awesome quilt coat. And here I brought in this awesome little quilt coat that I made for her. So this is actually a free pattern from Closet Core Patterns. And I love it. It was super simple to make. It's 2 pieces. It's just the top here, and then there's the little yoke that goes underneath on her chest, and then it comes up and it Velcros around her. And I just used some fabric. So this was a panel that I had received, I can't even remember. I believe it was from Carly Porter. I did some projects for her. She gave me a panel. I quilted it. I did a bunch of testing on it, and I kept thinking, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? So I turned this into this really cute quilt coat for Daisy. And right now it's still really hot outside. I can't wait for it to get cold so she can wear it. So I love this. I think it's fun to make fun little projects like that. My second project that I do all the time, and Kristina actually makes these too. So I make dog beds all the time. Here's a few pictures of Daisy lounging on the dog bed back when we used to have a cat. This one picture here has the cat snuggling up with Daisy also on the dog bed. But one thing I have found, and I don't even remember who I learned this from. It was probably somebody at a quilt guild, but they suggested using all those little bits and pieces that are left over when you get done quilting to actually stuff the dog bed with. So I just want to show everybody how I do this. So I take just a couple of yards of fabric of whatever, leftover stuff that like maybe somebody's gifted to me. I've realized this is never going to get used in a quilt. I take and sew it so that it just makes essentially like a nice big pillowcase. Yeah. And then this lives in a basket underneath my cutting table. And anytime I trim the pieces off the edges of quilts, extra batting, the little bits, I just throw it in this bag. And then when it's 3/4 of the way full, I sew it shut, and then it's ready to go inside. I know.
I recognize this project.
You look at it. It's kind of funny to go through here and see. Here's actually some little bits left over from when I made the little quilt coat. So I've got all different things. And a good tip too, if you've done just some stitching on fabric to maybe try some things out. We do a lot of this in the studio because of the classes we teach. I will take and cut those, we call them sew-offs or show-offs. I'll take and cut them into 5 or 6 inch wide strips and then stuff them in here if I'm not going to be using them for something else. And they make just a really great filling for the dog beds. And then when the dog beds get really gross and whatever, you just throw it away.
Yeah. So I do the same thing, but instead of taking just fabric for the outside, I take practice pieces, either from our sew-off team downstairs when they test all of the machines. They have some specific testing, but something that I've practiced on that I don't necessarily want to keep, and that's what I'll use to make kind of like this pillowcase section that I then stuff. Zip it off and then, or not zip it, I sew it. I'm not going to put a zipper in. And I'll put them out. I put him in the dog's kennel or out in the garage, wherever he's going to be laying that's going to get dirty. And like you said, then I can just throw it away and replace it, but that means I have to keep sewing. So I have an excuse. I have motivation to keep sewing.
Exactly.
Like I need that.
I know. But I love it because it just enables me to find a good place for all of these scraps. The little, the little bits and pieces that are just, they're too small to be used in any projects.
So I have a really hard time throwing away fabric. And so
me too.
This kind of gave me an excuse to let some things go. Like I would try to save those little 1-inch pieces. I'm like, I'm going to use this for something, but it just got to be too much.
You're not.
So if you don't have a dog or a pet to make a pet bed for, the animal shelters are always looking for them also. So that's actually how I started doing it, is I would just make a whole bunch of them, send them off to the animal shelter, and they're always grateful to get things there. So killing multiple birds, oh wait, it's Animal Day. I shouldn't have said that.
We're completing many useful tasks at one time.
Exactly.
How's that?
Perfect. Okay.
No, I do with mine, those, if I don't have a dog bed that I'm working on creating, I do the same thing. I donate to the animal shelter. I'll even sometimes do them smaller for smaller cats or dogs. And I have a few neighbors who occasionally call, hey, do you have another one? The one I've got's getting kind of icky. Yeah, definitely. So.
Those animals deserve stuff too.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. Homemade stuff. So we have a few other projects that we wanted to show you. Christina's got a couple that she's going to actually, I think this is really fun. I want to do I want to make one of these now.
Okay.
So show us what you got.
I'm going to show you a couple pictures. This is this crazy dog in the back. He got a new, I guess you can call it a placemat for his food dishes. And so he's loving that. But I actually brought it in with me today. So we've got it here.
I love this.
Move that out of the way.
It's so cute.
And I've also got another one that I did, just so you can kind of see how I did this. I stitched out a dog bone shape and then filled it in. And this one I used Pro Stitcher. But we're going to actually stitch one out today, and I'm going to show a different technique that doesn't involve Pro Stitcher. But for those that are interested, this dog bone shape, just the outside, as well as the next shape that we're going to do, we're going to put those in as a free download. So make sure you look for those if you're interested. Okay, so let's move those out of the way. Woo! I love those. Okay, we're going to move on to this fish.
Okay. So I love the fish for a cat.
So we've got a coworker that absolutely loves cats, and she was watching when we were working on these projects, and she's like, I need a fish. So Kathy, this is for you. So I printed out this fish, and I actually digitized this one. You could use any shape that you wanted. I love looking for free coloring pages, and those give you great outlines, anything like that. So I've got this fish, but it wasn't quite the right size that I wanted. So you can use a Quilter's Assistant Proportional Scale. We call it the quops because it's hard to say. But with this scale here, you can take the original size of your design, like this fish here, and then on the outside, find the design size that you want it to be. Line those up, and it will tell you what size to photocopy that to get the correct size that you want.
Which is awesome because no math involved.
No math, and this works great for any kind of stencil, anything that you need to get to the exact size for what you're working on. Okay, so we'll move those out of the way.
I can take those.
So I photocopied it. It ended up being on 4 pages to be the size I wanted, and I just taped them together. Now I could, just stitch through this or cut it out and trace it.
Use it as a pattern.
Or I took some Golden Threads paper.
I like that.
And this is kind of see-through, so I'll be able to see it on my fabric. And I just traced it out. And now I'm going to just stick this on my fabric, and I'm going to stitch right through the paper.
Okay, I love that. So it's using this as essentially a foundation for your stencil rather than chalking it or drawing it or any of those kind of things.
I'm going to skip that whole marking section.
I like it.
Okay, so I'm going to put it right about here. Oh, but I've got a little fuzzy here I want to get rid of.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Okay, so you've got it
I like it there. I'm going to just use a little sticky. Let's see if I can get this to go on.
Technical difficulties.
There we go.
There we go.
Actually, I'm going to stick it on the back of the paper directly.
Good idea. And this will just help stabilize it as you're stitching so it won't move as much, right?
Yeah, and you can put as much or as little on if you want.
Okay, that's great.
Oh, now I got stickies all over my finger. Good times. Okay, the next thing was I had to pick out my thread.
Right.
So we put some threads down, just kind of for fun. The one that I really liked, we actually have on the machine already, and it is a glitter thread. And we chose that one because when we looked at the 4 colors just laying on the fabric, that one had kind of like that sparkle, that shimmer, kind of like fish scales.
Yeah, it looks like the shimmer underwater that you see.
Yep. So that's the one we're going for.
Okay.
So glitter thread's a finer thread. It's a little bit more finicky. So I'm going to go kind of slower.
Okay.
And I am just going to stitch right along this design here.
So I noticed that you've got the Surefoot on there, and I'm guessing you have, you got the ruler base on there too. Are you going to use a ruler to help you guide this a little?
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to just take a couple of stitches here, lock it in place.
Okay.
It's not, let's see. So I've got my Baby Grand ruler. It formerly was known as the Peace Out ruler, exact same thing. And what I'm going to do is use my little notch here, and I'm going to just use it to kind of help me stay stable as I'm stitching along. And I'm not going to worry too much about being perfect.
No.
Because this is actually going to be my cut line.
Oh, okay.
And then if I choose to bind it, I can bind it.
You always change it up a little.
And the next part, I'm going to turn it to this straight edge, and I'm just going to kind of move the ruler. So different ways to use the ruler.
Yeah. I really like how you're doing that though, to just help yourself stay on the line. Just gives you a little more accuracy while you're stitching. Yeah. Looks like it also helps hold the paper down.
I probably should have put a little bit more of that glue tape on, but
close enough is good enough for this, right?
Yeah, again, it's just the cutting line. It doesn't have to be perfect. Also with this glitter thread, I am using 10 stitches per inch.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get it so that the stitch is a little bit longer so that that glitter really shows more.
Okay. See a little more of that sparkle.
Okay, we're getting there. Then the fun will begin.
I'm guessing you're going to do some cool fills.
Evil laugh. Just practicing for Halloween here. Hey, is Daisy going to wear her vest for Halloween? Or are you going to make her a Halloween costume?
She actually has a couple of different Halloween costumes, so we'll see. We'll see what she does. Honestly, it'll probably depend on the weather. Although, my kids are all older now. They don't really want to go out and go trick-or-treating anymore. So
yeah, we need grandkids.
I know, we do.
Oops. Okay, back to home base.
There you go.
Okay, I'm going to do a little tie off. So Denali actually had a tuxedo one year.
Oh, fun.
And it was fabulous till he managed to pee all over it. Was not worth the effort to clean it.
That's a typical dog.
Yes.
No respect for that. I know. I have a pattern to make Daisy a Sherlock Holmes cape with a little hat, and so maybe we'll see if that happens this year. You know, nice plaid. We'll see.
You know what? How about if we ask our viewers to send in pictures of their pets in costumes?
I would love that. I
or
would love
things
that.
they've made for their pets. Yeah, that'd be fabulous.
I love it.
If you can't put a picture in, just write in, tell us what it is that you've made or what kind of costume. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be fun to see.
Okay, next step.
Next
we want to get rid of this paper.
Okay.
So I'm just going to rip it off.
Can I help you with this?
Yes.
This is like the best part. It's like that perfectly perforated edge. Okay, I really like that. I like how easy that was. You don't have to trace anything on there.
Yep.
None of that stuff.
A little wobbly, but you know, again, it's the cut line.
It's the cut line, so it's fine.
Okay, I'm going to pull this machine back over here.
Okay.
What should we do first? Should we do the tail since I'm at the tail?
Yes, let's do. So are you going for more of a realistic look here? You want to do like make it really, really look like a fish?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, let's make it a cartoon fish. Then I have a little leeway.
Okay, let's do that. I like that.
I want to kind of emphasize this tail here.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of stitch along, kind of echoing the tail.
I like it. Creating a little movement there.
How's that?
I like it.
You know, I'm going to pause there and snip off these tails so that they're...
Thank you. I keep looking at that going, oh!
The tail of the tail. Okay, I'm going to bring it back in. Should I add some more or is that good?
I think that's good.
We'll call it good.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, let's see.
Well, a fish has to have scales, and they've got to have some fins.
Fins.
So are you going to get your, okay,
fins.
you're going to get the handy iron off pencil and maybe do a little sketching here of what you want.
How's that for a fin?
I like it.
I don't know what a fin looks like. How about an eyeball?
Definitely.
And a big smiley face?
Yeah, because that fish is super excited that it's not in the dish, it's under the dish.
Yes. So here's what I'm thinking. I want to do some designs over the top of this, but I don't know how well it's going to work with those fins. So I'm thinking I might come back with a really thick thread in a different contrasting color.
Ooh, I like it.
And put that fin and this
over the
face
top.
over the top.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm liking that.
I like where you're going with this.
Okay, I don't want to cut my thread,
No,
so I'm
course
going to
not.
just travel up to the top. And I'm going to do some fish scales starting at the top. And I'm just going to do a clamshell upside down.
I love it.
And I'm not going to worry about it being perfectly lined up or anything. We're just going to go for it.
No. There'll be no judgment from the cat, I'm sure.
Okay, so now I'm going to come back to, actually I'm going to come down here.
That classic clamshell slash fish scale. I love it.
We're just giving it a little bit of fun texture, some sparkle.
Well, you know, this is what I love about small projects like this. You can just have fun with them and, you know, enjoy the process.
Yep.
Get a little creative time in, quick projects.
Are fish scales all the same size? I should know this since,
I don't,
I'm
you
from
know what?
Alaska.
I don't think they are. I think it depends on where they are in their body. But then again, I am no fish expert, so every fish we've ever had in our house has unfortunately went the way that many fish do go eventually, down the toilet.
I don't think I've ever had a pet fish.
Oh, I'm trying to remember, we had a pet fish for like, I think about a week once. Because somebody asked us to, you know, I know that Denise has a pet fish.
That is true. I think my kids did have a fish that they won like at a fair or something once.
Yeah, I think that's what we had too, was a, you know, here's a fish, take it home, baggie inside like a red Solo cup. Try to keep it alive. I know we found out after the fact, they told us that we put it in the wrong kind of water or something. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
So what other kinds of pets do our viewers have?
That would be really interesting to see because we know that there are lots of cats and dogs out there. But it would be really fun to see pictures or comments about the types of pets that you have.
I'm sure there's some chickens out there. I'm sure there's some horses. So I actually had like little baby chickens, little chicks for my kids that were dyed different colors.
Oh, goodness.
This was in Guatemala.
Okay.
I have no idea how they did it. But yeah, those kids had fun with that.
I bet. I know I have a very good friend who has goats. They are the cutest little things because they're miniature goats. She actually has a leash so she can take him out for a walk if she wants to. We have some other neighbors that live down the street that do have goats also, that they do take them for walks. My dog is always Daisy's always a little confused when she sees them out on a leash. She's like, wait, that's not right.
So I'm going to totally squirrel while I'm doing fish
Yeah,
scales.
go for it.
There was a neighbor when I was growing up in Alaska, and she would go out running with this ginormous dog. It was so big. But we found out it was not a dog. It was a miniature horse.
Oh my, really?
Yes, and it was so cool. And so we got to know her, and for one of my school projects, you know how in elementary school you have to do an animal project?
Oh yeah, always.
I did mine on horses, and she brought the miniature horse to my elementary school, and we got to walk him down the hallway of the school into my classroom, and it was the coolest thing ever.
I bet you were like the most popular student, at least for that day.
Oh yeah, just for that day.
Wow, a horse that you take out for a run but you don't ride. That would be very different. Oh my gosh, how fun.
My sister has alpacas and llamas and goats and sheep, and she had a camel that she borrowed for
nativity, right?
A nativity one year. It did kick my nephew and broke his leg, but you know, that's a whole nother can of worms. Don't you love how my sayings today have animals?
All of
worms,
them have
birds.
animals.
Okay.
Well, I guess we're
I'm
sticking with our theme.
squirreling.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's another. I put that one.
Yeah,
in on
exactly,
purpose.
exactly.
Okay.
So at this point, you really could. I think that looks pretty darn good, just like that for a placemat. But you could easily add a little more detail to that. And how fun! Just cut that out, bind it if you'd like to. Just do whatever fun stuff. And how fun too, because it's washable. I know that my dog, she's not always the neatest eater, and so nice to have something like this just to keep from, you know, stuff getting all over.
Yeah, something that I did think about after I made Denali's dog bone shaped one is, wouldn't it have been a good idea to put like a vinyl in it or some kind of water barrier? Because he's not a neat drinker. He's like water everywhere, and I'm always stepping in it. But put something on that so that it doesn't like leak through and then sit on our wood floor.
That's a good idea.
So,
that's a really good idea.
So you can put different layers in the middle there. Just experiment with it.
Experiment it.
Yeah.
You could even do a vinyl tablecloth and envelope it and flip it over so there's no stitching through it to really make it waterproof.
Yeah.
That's a great
So
idea.
lots of options out there.
Yeah, there definitely are.
Yeah.
Well, any other final touches on this? Or
I think I'm going to find a different color thread, do the fin and the eyes and the mouth, and I may or may not bind it. We'll see how I feel when I get it cut out. I might just leave it. It gives it kind of like that rag feel.
Absolutely. Well, you could even use like a pinking shear around the edge and just make a little bit of a something there.
Yep.
I really like it.
But we'll put a picture in when it's all done, and and then maybe we'll even put a picture in a Kathy with it.
We totally should. We totally should.
So, okay.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We hope that we gave you some great ideas for creating some fun projects for your pets. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Join us again next week, and be sure to have fun quilting.